positive about it.
Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another edition of the Opposition Preview. First things first, guys, make sure you smash the like, subscribe if you're new around here, all of that good stuff. And as always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. International break is done. None of them until March. We can now focus on the proper stuff. And Chelsea are back in action with a trip to Leicester City on Saturday lunchtime. Enzo Maresca returns. Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall returns. The Blues flying high in third place, looking to consolidate position within the top four over this next run of games. Leicester, in comparison, sitting 15th outside of the bottom three, which is a good thing, but it doesn't feel like all's well at the club. Fatu out with an ACL, IU out for a number of months, a lot of unhappiness surrounding Steve Cooper. And to go through the game, the situation at Leicester, delighted to be joined by Ant. Mate, great to have you back as always. Leicester, talk to me. Obviously, you lost your gaffer in the summer to us. You lost your star man in Dewsbury-Hall to us as well. Cooper's come in. You did a bit of business in the summer. You're outside the drop zone currently. What is the feeling around Leicester at the moment?
Feeling is like, if you said to most Leicester fans at the start of the season, with obviously everything that you've mentioned there, with Enzo going, with Dewsbury-Hall going, and then Cooper coming in, but we'll be 15th and outside the relegation zone. I think most Leicester fans would accept that and take that. Obviously, we're in a different stage than we were a couple of years ago. I think as a newly promoted team, you sort of need to take a step back and say, actually, and sort of look at perspective. But the problem is we're 15th, and I struggle to think of one game where we've won a game and we've deserved to win. It's like we beat Southampton 3-2. It was the 96th minute, the winner. We went 2-0 down. It took Southampton, the worst team in the league, in my opinion, to go down to a red card for us to start playing football. Against Ipswich, we got a 1-1 draw. Anyone who watched that game will be able to tell you we did not deserve a draw in that game. It took them going down to 10 men for us to be
last-minute equaliser as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, last-minute equaliser. They went down to 10 men. They should have had a penalty. Like Fatu just absolutely sent one of their players flying. I have no idea how that wasn't given. Bournemouth, we beat Bournemouth. You play that game 99 times out of 100, Bournemouth beat us. They scored a goal that was ruled out by offside by like a toenail, and Mads Hermansen having the game of his life. So it's like, I expect us to be around 15th, but I do think that the table lies of sort of the teams below us, I would say, are getting progressively better whilst we're getting progressively worse each week. And eventually your luck will run out. Like how we're playing at the moment is not sustainable over the course of an entire season.
No, mate, I hear you on that. And you see it so many times, you can get away within a few games, getting last minute winners, surviving by the skin of your teeth, not playing well and getting wins. But over a course of a season, that luck runs out, as you say, and you do get found out. That will stop happening. And there will come a time where you actually have to play football and be better than the other team rather than relying on scraping by. You can't have luck over a 38-game season, and the worst teams will find themselves at the bottom. And right now, Leicester aren't one of the worst teams. But as you say, mate, there are signs of improvement with other teams. Even teams like Wolves looking like they're improving. Ipswich looking like they're improving a little bit as well. Those are teams that you sort of be looking at competing with. So, yeah, I can understand why there's a bit of unrest surrounding Leicester, because you can tell by the performances that, that luck is not going to last. But I mean, in terms of Steve Cooper himself, vastly different manager to Enzo Maresca, obviously a lot more experience, plays a totally different brand of football. The Forest links haven't helped. We've kind of had experience of that in the past with Pochettino coming in with his Spurs links. Some fans just never accepted him from the off because of that. It wasn't a widely popular appointment from what I could see in the summer. It certainly didn't feel like he was a first choice either. How's he been accepted within the fan base, or has he not really been accepted?
He's one of those that, you say he's a lot more experienced than Enzo Maresca. He's actually not. He's only had one season of Premier League management, and then I think it was a season and a half in the Championship before that, which is very much where Enzo, yes, he's more experienced, but not hugely. But in terms of how he was accepted, I don't think, when Enzo went, not one person I was talking to was saying Steve Cooper's the man to take over. We were linked to Graham Potter, who I know he didn't work out great for you guys, but a club at our level who are trying to get back long-term to those European places. I think he would be great for that. I know we're a million miles away from that at the moment, but that's where we want to be. But Steve Cooper just felt like everything that we were told that the next appointment wouldn't be. Someone who was going to build on the ideas of what Enzo Maresca left, on someone who is going to obviously develop and improve youth players, because that's the route that we have gone down over the last few years as a club. So far, he couldn't have done any less of what what Enzo Maresca did last year, and any less couldn't have sort of been ignoring our youth players anymore if he tried. But I don't blame Steve Cooper for that. He shouldn't have been appointed in the first place. That falls down on the board. I'm sorry. It's like there's like you look at Brighton, and I always sort of compare ourselves with Brighton in terms of the fact of we should be trying to mirror a lot of what they're doing. Graham Potter got poached by you guys. They brought in De Zerbi, who built on a lot of the same principles of what Graham Potter did. De Zerbi went in the summer. They've gone and is it Herschler, I believe.
Hertzler from Sao Paulo. I mean, he's a totally unknown guy. And I think he's only about 31, 32. But no, you are right, mate. There's not, I mean, obviously, you know much better than me, but it didn't really feel, I know Leicester wouldn't have expected Enzo Maresca to move on so quickly, but it kind of felt like it took them completely by surprise. And there was literally zero plan as to what to do to replace him in terms of, are we going to bring a manager and he plays the same style of football? Is this a style of football we want to play? And it just looks like they've kind of panicked and they've just gone for the cheapest option, and they've just completely reverted on everything they were doing last season and kind of building under Maresca. So like for me, if I look at Leicester, it sort of feels like a club that doesn't really know the direction they're going in, doesn't know what identity they want to have as a team. I'm not really sure about what brand of football they want to play, because Cooper to Maresca is night and day. So you kind of look at it and you think, well, Leicester aren't playing anything like they were last season, but they've got a manager who plays in a completely different style of football. So that's kind of to be expected. But I mean, what do you think? What are Leicester at the moment, mate? Like, if you had to describe what Leicester are right now, because under Maresca there was an identity, there was a style of play and whatnot, and there were clear ideas. I get the feeling from what you've been saying is none of that's really there, and Leicester just kind of vibes at the moment and hope for the best, or is there a bit more structure to it?
I don't know, because it's like there's, in terms of, and this is something that I was talking to you about just before we went live, is it's very interesting that a lot of the conversations between Leicester fans have been about the lack of identity, lack of style of play, and just sort of not really knowing what we are and living off the fact that we've probably got a better squad than 3 or 4 teams in the league and hoping that individual quality drags you through. Very telling, though, that I think the 2 biggest Leicester journalists or local Leicester journalists have both put out at 9 o'clock this morning, Leicester are a work in progress, and they're looking to define their style of play. So to me, that says that they've both been briefed. But it just says there isn't anything. Like, it is just try and stay in games and hope that players like Buonanotte, Vardy, Mavididi, and sort of individual quality can drag you through. And it's like, then you compare that to Ipswich and other teams like that. They've got clear identities, clear styles of play, and they're getting better and better week after week. And it's like, I don't actually think that if like Enzo was playing how he did with us in the Championship, it would have worked. It would have had to be adapted slightly, because with the level of players that we've got, I think you would have got exposed. But you knew what you were getting, and you knew that there was, like, obviously a philosophy, a style of play. With Steve Cooper, we're not hard to beat. We're not a good counter-attacking team. We're not good on possession. It is literally, and like you watch a lot of our goals this season, it has been moments of like individual quality and individual brilliance. And it's like, this is what I can say, it's not sustainable. And also, Mads Hermansen, I think, has been our man of the match more times this season than he hasn't.
Yeah. That just tells you all you need to know. When your goalkeeper's man of the match most weeks, that kind of tells you that, yeah, you've got a few problems. In terms of Maresca coming back, mate, obviously the first time he's coming back, should get a good reception. I know certain players in the past have not had a great reception. I know Wesley Fofana won't be getting a good reception because of the way that he left. For whatever reason, Ben Chilwell doesn't seem to get a good reception, but obviously he's not going to feature anyway, so it's kind of irrelevant. But What sort of reaction will Maresca get from the supporters when he does come out at the King Power on Saturday? You expecting a good reception for him, or is there still some section of the fan base that hold a resentment against him?
I hope he gets a good reception. He came in, did a job, got us out of the championship first go, and if for me, it would be a good reception. I know there are certain people, even when he was winning games last year and we were on like 10-game win streak, still weren't happy with him. So I'd imagine a fairly split one, but I've got nothing against Enzo Maresca. It's like I said to you yesterday, when Chelsea come calling, particularly as a manager who's only had 1 year of championship experience, you don't know if your stock's ever going to be that high. So yeah, I think it'll be fairly good, but saying that, I can imagine it probably not being so good at full time if it's 4-0 Chelsea and then it starts to turn.
Yeah, no, mate, I hear you on that. Look, from what I've kind of seen, like I do think he'll get a decent reception. Obviously, Dewsbury Hall will get a good reception. He's very respectful in how he left the club. He's a Leicester boy through and through. Whether he gets on the pitch or is even part of the squad is a separate conversation. But just briefly on him, mate. Obviously, we spoke about him joining us in the summer. Are you surprised at how it's gone for him so far? Not really featuring very regularly, kind of just turning out in the cup competitions. Has that taken you by surprise, or has it kind of gone as you expected for him so far?
Gone as expected, and it's sad to see because again, you don't begrudge him a move to Chelsea. It's a chance for him to obviously step up in his career, but it had Danny Drinkwater Mark II written all over it. And if I'm honest, Danny Drinkwater, when you signed him, had done a lot more than than Dewsbury Hall had.
Yeah.
Because Dewsbury Hall was a championship player of the season or within the top three. I think Somerville won the player of the season. But when you look what Danny Drinkwater had done, he'd won the Premier League. He'd been to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, was in the England squad. Dewsbury Hall was fantastic last season, and I'm not going to take that away from him. But it's a big step even from the Championship to the lower end of the Premier League, let alone the Championship to, what are you, third now in the league? Yeah. It's a huge, huge step.
Yeah, no, it is. And look, maybe he might well be involved on Saturday. There's doubts over Romeo Lavia. Not sure whether Enzo and Caicedo will both start this game due to obviously coming back late from South America, the travel, the time difference, etc. So there's a chance that he could well be involved at Leicester. And, the way that scripts get written, maybe he might even score a goal. You just don't know. But, mate, in terms of what Chelsea can expect from Leicester in this game, I know you've talked about it's not really been a style of play, but what are your main threats? Obviously, big blow with Fatawu ruled out for the rest of the season. Really important player. I think Buonanotte suspended for this game. Ayew's out injured as well. Not the best sort of circumstances to be heading into a big game with. But given those guys are out, who are the threats? I mean, I love Jamie Vardy, but at 37, the fact that you guys are still relying on him for the goals maybe is part of the problem in itself. But who's the main threat? Who should Chelsea be worried about on Saturday?
So I would say normally when I get asked this questions about opposition fans, I would say Buonanotte, Fatawu, and Vardy. All three of them look like they're big doubts for the game. So probably Steffi Mavididi, I would expect to be one of the threats. I'm struggling beyond this. I'll be honest, mate. I'm really
no. What about no Patson Daka?
He's injured.
He's injured as well, is he?
Well, he's back in training because he got injured in pre-season against Lens, and it looked like that was going to be the main man that Steve Cooper went with because he was starting every single pre-season game, and in our final pre-season game, he got injured. So I don't think Vardy would have been playing as much as he has. He's back in training, but I don't know if he's back ready to play. But yeah, in terms of our threats, it's looking a bit
bleak, that, isn't it? I mean, obviously, look, I'm not going to take this game lightly. All games in the Premier League are difficult. Away games are difficult. And, with it being Maresca's return to the King Power, first game after an international break, a lunchtime kickoff, all those factors do make this a bit more of a difficult game. Mate, from a Chelsea perspective, briefly, what have you made of us this season? What have you made of the job Maresca's done? And who are you kind of worried about?
So in terms of Maresca, we had a chat in the summer and I was like, I think he will be a success at Chelsea, but I think it will take time. The fact that he's third in the league at the moment, I think he's doing an absolutely fantastic job and all power to him. I in terms of who I worry about in Chelsea's team, it's like it'll be a quicker question of who I'm not worried about. So, it's, but obviously Cole Palmer, fantastic player. Nicholas Jackson, I think, goes massively under the radar. He's a player that I really, really like. He never seems to get, when you see sort of like the top strikers in the Premier League, he's never seems to be in those conversations, but I feel like he probably should be. Who else have you guys got? Like, I could just list off your whole squad, to be honest, of players that worry me. And as good as you are, and this is going to sound really strange, I'm more worried about what we do and how we set up than how you do. Because it's like whoever you put in your 1 to 11, they're players that can hurt us. It's like if we set up with everyone behind the ball and just try and hold on, it's going to be a very, very long afternoon for Leicester. It's like we've got to get at you, which is what I'm sort of worried we won't do. So, yeah, pretty much everyone from a Chelsea perspective worries me.
Yeah, no, I hear it. And it's a difficult balance to get right because if you sit deep, like, okay, you can do that, but we've got the quality to potentially break you down. And once one goal goes in and you've adopted those tactics, you have to come out a little bit, and the floodgates got the potential to open, so you start leaving a lot of spaces. I think from a Leicester perspective, the most important thing is probably stay in the game for as long as possible. Don't concede an early goal. We are a little bit susceptible defensively, but having said that, a lot of your attacking threats are out, so it'd be interesting to see kind of how Cooper adapts to that, what personnel actually go on the pitch with a lot of your better players potentially, well, some of them definitely missing and others potentially. We'll make some changes, I've got no doubt, but the players that it can put on the pitch, we have got the quality to hurt any defences. And I would expect, I don't want to say comfortable victory, but I would expect us to not have too many problems in getting the 3 points. Obviously, it's a start of a big run of fixtures now for both teams, the build up to Christmas and whatnot. The table really starts to take shape. What are you expecting from this game, mate? I know it's very hard to go against your own team, but are you expecting anything from your boys in this game?
My light's dying. Fantastic. You love to see it. What I want to see is, I said yesterday to you that I've gone with a 2-2 draw, purely my heart over my head. But if I'm going to be brutally honest, I expect you guys to beat us. What I want to see is after 90 minutes for you lot to know that you've been in a game, not just come to King Power, knock the ball around for 90 minutes. It looked a bit like a training drill, and everyone just go, oh, but it was Chelsea, because that's exactly what we had when it was Man United at Old Trafford. We could still be playing that game at Old Trafford now. We still wouldn't have laid a glove on them. So for me, I do expect you lot to beat us, but I just want to see a bit of a fight and make you earn 3 points, not just hand them to you on a silver platter.
No, mate, I absolutely hear you on that one. That's all you want from your team in any game, is to show fight and make it difficult for the opposition. And yeah, as long as we get the 3 points, I don't care how crap it is or how scrappy it is, or it's only 1-0 or whatever it is. Get the 3 points, get back to London, and move on to the next one. But mate, thank you so much for your time. Pleasure as always. Let the people know what you do and where to check your stuff out.
So Ant's Leicester fan channel, daily Leicester live streams with transfer news, previews, all of the usual stuff, and home and away match day vlogs.
Guys, make sure you check that out. Head over, show Ant some love. There's some great stuff on there. Channel will be tagged in the title, so make sure you do go and check it out. As always, guys, smash the like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you again in another one soon.